Welcome Year 11s to this video that I'm getting you to watch this lesson. For this next exercise we're looking at, which is the least squares regression line, you're going to be asked to round values to significant figures, a certain number of significant figures. So what this means is we do need to review this, and it is a very important skill for Year 12 as well. This is the second time we've looked at it. We looked at it in semester 1, but it does require a refresher. So you've got, you should have in front of you a sheet that looks like this, rules for significant figures, and a series of sheets that's got some examples in it, or it's got some practice in it. I'm going to take you through just a few examples with each, but then I'm going to get you to finish off that sheet, and you'll be able to record, you'll be able to check your answers as well. So just a thing about significant figures, obviously we are looking for what obviously makes something significant. First of all, when you look at a number, any number that you come across, the first significant figure that you would count is the first one that's non-zero, so that's not zero. So for example, with this here, the first non-zero significant figure is the 1. So it goes 0, 0, 0, and then finally we have something that's non-zero. So this here is 3 significant figures. If we have a look at this one though, we've got the 4, that's the very first one. So we've actually got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant figures. And if we look at this one, we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. Now, the reason why we count these zeros will become clear in a moment, because of course a 0 doesn't really go with the rule that I've just said here, but those ones are special because of their position. So the second thing is obviously all non-zero digits are significant. I mentioned that before. All zeros between non-zeros. So that's why that one there and this one here are counted as significant, because they are between numbers that are not zeros. So this one here, as you can see, there's 4 significant figures there, and this one here, there's only 3, because the first one is the first non-zero from left to right. So 1, 0, and 3 are significant. The other thing that you'll notice is that when you have zeros at the end of a decimal, so here I've got a decimal point, so I've got this value that's after that decimal point, so it is a significant 0, it's a significant figure. So I've got 5 there. This one, it is after the decimal point, obviously, it's after some significant figures. But there's only 3 of them that are significant here, because these ones before the decimal point, they are insignificant, just like the one up here and this one up here. Those zeros that came before it were insignificant. We call them placeholder zeros. And then, of course, this one, you'll notice that we've got a 0 and it's after a decimal point. It's after a non-zero as well, which is why this one is also significant. The last one that you might come across is a 0 that's at the end, but it's actually not after a decimal point. The decimal point would be over here. So generally, this one here, we'd actually only count those ones as significant figures. In some contexts, though, they might count this as having 5, but generally this would be 4 significant figures. And I'll just put SF instead of having to write significant figures, which would be annoying unless we're told. We don't know with this one really, but like I said, generally it would be 4. Now, just a summary of what I've just said is here, but of course when we are writing a number to a certain number of significant figures, that our rounding rules have to take place. We have to round appropriately. So obviously we look to the next digit after the final one we want to write. If it is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we'll round that number down. Or if that digit is 5 or more, that number then will round up. So just look at a few, maybe just these first 3. We're going to round here to 1 significant figure. And so if we have a look here, we've got 7, 2, 3, 5. So there's actually 4 of them at the moment. But since I only want 1 significant figure, I only want 1 significant value that I'm going to write. So really the first one is going to be the 7. And the reason I'm writing a 7 is because we're really going to have to write a 0 next if I only want 1 significant figure. It's only this one here. So effectively I'm rounding to the nearest 10 for this particular number. So I didn't write to 80 because the next value wasn't 5 or above. It was only 2. So this will round this number down to 70. Likewise with this one here, it's really rounding to the nearest 10 because I can only write one significant digit. However, with this one, the next value is a 5. So really I'm asking, is this closer to 60 or is this closer to 70? And since it's at 65.55, that's closer to 70. And so there's my one significant figure just here. This one here is a little easier because I'm just working with this number. There's one value that I want to write. I check my next value across, which is a 2, and of course that means that this whole number will round down. It rounds down to 5. I might just do one or two more since I've got some quite different examples here. 329.7, I only want to write one value, which effectively means I'm rounding to the nearest 100 with this one. So I'm asking, is it closer to 300 or closer to 400? It's clearly closer to 300, and there's my one significant figure. With this one here, 6521, I can only write one significant figure, so my other values will need to be zeros. And so I'm asking, is this closest to 6,000 or to 7,000? Clearly, because this is a 5, it's going to go up to 7,000. And with this one here, just to finish off, same deal, I need one significant figure, so I'm going to have 3 zeros after that since my number is in the thousands. And I check my next one, the 8, and of course that means that this number is closer to 5,000 than it is to 4,000. I'll let you continue and finish this sheet here, so you're practicing rounding to one significant figure. On the next page though, two significant figures now. So I'm going to write two values. So having a look at this, my two values are most likely, when you look at it, you're tempted to write 39. However, we want to check how can I possibly, if I look at the next one, I've got 0.9. So this is one of those cases where I need to write just the two significant figures, but with this one it's going to round up to 40, which means that really this one in this case would have to be significant. I can't leave it as 39 because that's not rounded correctly, and I can't put 40.0 because that's three significant figures. So this is one of those I guess grey ones where you actually can get sort of two possibilities. In this case I can't really write it just to 2 as is required. So that one here would count as my second one, my second significant. This one here, 34, I'm asking, is it 34 or is it 35? It's going to be 35. This one here, I've got 4 point. I need to write one more significant figure. I check this next number, it's a 6. So this 6 here, is it closest to 4.6 or is it closer to 4.7? It's closer to 4.7. And this one here, so if we look, I've got two significant values that I can write. So obviously the 6. Then I'm asking, do I write 8 or do I write 9? This 2 here indicates that I will keep this number at 8. And since the number is in the hundreds, I'll add my 0 there, and there's my two significant figures, 680. I'll just do two more. If we look at this one, so two significance, and then I'll add my zeros in. So is this closer to 2,200 or 2,300? Hopefully that's what you wrote. Of course, I'll check the next number. It's a 3, so it'll round down. And then this one here, I've got two significance, and then I'll have 2 zeros. And so if I look at this, 47, am I going to write 47 or am I going to write 48? The next number is a 5, so it's going to go up to 48. Again, I'll let you try the next ones and then you can self-correct it, and we'll finish off here with 3 significant figures. Okay, so I want 3. I've got 4, 4, and then a 5, so I'll go 4, 4, and then point. And this one here, I check the next number, so it's going to go 44.6. Same deal here. I'm going to have 1, 1. Then I just want to check this next number. It's a 1, so that's going to keep it rounded down to 11.1. Over here, I've got, so again, 3 significant figures. So I've got 3.86. So am I going to staying at 8.6 or going up to 8.7? This is a 5, so that means it's got to go up to 0.87, 3.87. This one here, 3 significant figures. Well, I've got 3 numbers here, so I can only write those 3. I check, of course, should it be 356 or 357? It'll be 356 since the 4 rounds it down. This one here, I can do 3 significance, but since the number's in the thousands, I'm going to have to put a 0 on the end. So then I've got 5, I've got 9, and this 7. Will I leave it at a 7 or will I take it up to 8? The 2 tells me it'll stay as a 7. And the last one before you continue, I've got 3, 6, and then maybe 3. I've got to have a 0 on the end because it's in the thousands. The final number is a 4, so that means that this will stay as a 3. I'll leave it there, ladies, so that you can continue and you can have a go at these other examples underneath. But like I said, I would like you to correct your work and then just put a little note next to any that you are stuck on, that you're not sure about, so that we can look at them together in our next lesson.